Section 6, Part 1, Deploying Applications with Elastic Beanstalk. AWS Elastic Beanstalk is a service for deploying and scaling web applications and services. It automatically handles deployment details like capacity provisioning, load balancing, automatic scaling, and application health monitoring. Elastic Beanstalk provides a variety of platforms to build your applications on. With Elastic Beanstalk, you can manage all the resources that run your applications as environments. This slide lists key Elastic Beanstalk components. The Elastic Beanstalk permissions model requires you to assign two roles when creating an environment: the service role and the instance profile. Elastic Beanstalk assumes the service role to use other AWS services on your behalf. Suppose you create an environment with the create command in the Elastic Beanstalk CLI. If you don't specify a service role through the --service-role option, Elastic Beanstalk creates the default service role, AWS-Elastic Beanstalk-service-role. If the default service role already exists, Elastic Beanstalk uses it for the new environment. An instance profile is a container for an IAM role that can pass role information to an EC2 instance when the instance starts. The profile is applied to the instances in your environment. Instances retrieve application versions from Amazon Simple Storage Service, known as Amazon S3, upload logs to S3, and perform other tasks. The tasks vary depending on the environment type and platform. When you launch an environment by using the Elastic Beanstalk console or CLI, the service creates a default instance profile called AWS-Elastic Beanstalk-EC2-role. Managed policies are assigned to the role with default permissions. Elastic Beanstalk provides 3 managed policies that are assigned to your environment by default. The policies consist of 1 for the web server tier, 1 for the worker tier, and 1 with additional permissions necessary for multi-container Docker environments. User policies enable users to create and manage environments. Elastic Beanstalk provides managed policies for full access and read-only access, administrator access -AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and AWS Elastic Beanstalk read-only. This shows an excerpt of the AWS Elastic Beanstalk Enhanced Health managed policy assigned to the service role, AWS-Elastic Beanstalk-service-role, when you create an Elastic Beanstalk environment. This policy provides Elastic Beanstalk with permissions it needs to monitor the health of your EC2 instances. The policy also includes Amazon Simple Queue Service, or Amazon SQS, actions to enable Elastic Beanstalk to monitor queue activity for worker environments. Elastic Beanstalk uses Amazon ECS to coordinate container deployments to multi-container Docker environments. This simplifies the task of getting started with containers. Elastic Beanstalk takes care of ECS tasks, including cluster creation, task definition, and running tasks. You can also continue to customize your Elastic Beanstalk environment as you experiment and learn more about working with containers. When you create an environment, Elastic Beanstalk provisions and configures all of the AWS resources necessary to run and support your application. In addition to configuring your environment's metadata and update behavior, you can customize these resources by providing values for configuration options. Elastic Beanstalk uses AWS CloudFormation to launch the resources in your environment and propagate configuration changes. The resources are defined in a template, which you can view in the CloudFormation console. You can use Elastic Beanstalk to create an environment where your EC2 instances run multiple Docker containers side by side. This diagram shows an example environment configured with 3 Docker containers running on each EC2 instance in an auto-scaling group. The multi-container Docker platform for Elastic Beanstalk requires images to be pre-built and stored in a public or private online image repository. When you create an environment by using the multi-container Docker platform, Elastic Beanstalk automatically creates and configures several Amazon ECS resources. At the same time, it is building the environment to create the necessary containers on each EC2 instance. Elastic Beanstalk creates several components. The first is the ECS cluster. These are container instances in ECS organized into clusters. When used with Elastic Beanstalk, one cluster is always created for each multi-container Docker environment. Second is the ECS task definition. Elastic Beanstalk uses the dockerrun.aws.json file in your project to generate the ECS task definition that configures container instances in the environment. Next is the ECS task. Elastic Beanstalk communicates with ECS to run a task on every instance in the environment to coordinate container deployment. In a scalable environment, Elastic Beanstalk initiates a new task whenever an instance is added to the cluster. In rare cases, you might need to increase the amount of space reserved for containers and images. Elastic Beanstalk also creates the ECS container agent. The agent runs in a Docker container on the instances in your environment. The agent polls the ECS service and waits for a task to run. Next are ECS data volumes. Elastic Beanstalk inserts volume definitions, in addition to the volumes you define in dockerrun.aws.json, into the task definition to facilitate log collection. Finally, Elastic Beanstalk creates log volumes on the container instance, one for each container, at /var/log/containers/container name. These volumes are named AWS EB-logs-container name and are provided for containers to mount. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.